Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. You already know who it is. Today we doing another story time, and this story time takes place in another house we lived in. This house by far was like one of the worst haunted houses we lived in. At least 3 of them we lived in were haunted. One of them was mildly haunted, like it wasn't haunted to the point where it scared us, but this one really took the cake. So this takes place around the time I was like around 14 or 15, somewhere around that area. And I was the babysitter because I liked, making money back then when I was that age, and I couldn't get a job yet, so I babysat. So I was the designated babysitter basically, and I would babysit all my siblings, and sometimes I would babysit my siblings and my cousins' kids too at the same time. So it was a lot of kids in the house. But for some reason, it always felt like there was an extra kid in the house that I couldn't see. If you've ever been a babysitter and you know how many kids you're watching and they're all accounted for, but you still feel like there's one missing for some reason, it always felt like there was an extra kid in the house for some reason. Not necessarily missing, but it always felt like there was an extra kid in the house. So this night in particular, when I babysit, I would let the kids play as much as they wanted to, because that's how they, tired themselves out so they can go to bed and get up out my face. So I would let the kids play around and do whatever they wanted, as long as they weren't hurting each other or doing anything crazy. Go nuts. Go crazy, please. Because I need y'all to go to bed so I can watch videos and, get on a hotline. We got a story time about that coming too, about the hotline. I used to be a mess on the hotline. We ain't gonna get into that just yet. That's juicy. But yeah, I used to let them play, and eventually they would get tired out. But this night in particular, we played hide and seek. I personally don't like hide and seek. To me, it's annoying and it's not really fun to me, but the kids wanted to play, so I'm like, all right, everybody go hide. I'll count, blah, 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 blah. So I specifically watched all the kids run upstairs. I watched all the kids run upstairs because I'm in the front area. In this house, there was a front walk-in area that led to my bedroom. So I was in the front walk-in area with my eyes over my face like this, and I started counting. But I watched them all run upstairs, but there was another kid running around downstairs. And I'm steady saying, you gotta go hide, because when I get to 10 or when I get to 0, I'm counting down, and if I see you, you're it. That means you gotta count. And the kid was still running around, like in the dining room, and ran all the way back into the kitchen, into the back part of the house. So I'm like, okay, he went and hid. It was a boy because he had shorter hair. I can see it was dark in that house, but it wasn't dark like the other house. In this house, there was actually light coming in. So I could see a silhouette of a kid, a smaller kid. Like this kid had to be at least 6 or 7 years old. This wasn't a big kid. So I'm like, all right, he hid, blah, blah, blah. I start counting, and I'm like, ready or not, here I come. I'm walking upstairs because I know they're up there, but I also know that there's a kid downstairs still in the back of the house. And I'm like, I don't know who that is, but most of them ran upstairs, so let me go get them so I can get this game over with, so I can go to bed or get on the hotline. So I go upstairs. All the kids were scattered in the closets and under the beds and blah, 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 blah. So I ended up tagging one of my little cousins and like, you're it, blah, 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 blah. So they're like, dang, you know how when they get tagged, they're like, oh my God, whatever, you're it, boo. So I go downstairs and I'm looking and I'm like, all the kids are here. Who the hell was that? Who downstairs? I'm like, who ran? So I'm asking them, I'm like, who was still downstairs when y'all ran upstairs? They're like, who are you talking about? I'm like, when y'all ran upstairs, who was that was still downstairs? They don't know what the hell I'm talking about. They're confused and slightly getting scared. So I kind of let it go. And I'm like, never mind. Everybody just sit down. I'll go to the back of the house. No, nobody's there. Nobody's there. I swear to God on my life, I saw a kid run to the back of the house. I heard feet. I heard everything. I heard laughing. Um, I heard kid noises. Like I heard giggling, laughing, and breathing, all that. And I heard the kid run to the back of the house. There was nobody back there. Nobody. All the kids that I was babysitting were accounted for, and they all ran upstairs. I specifically watched them. There was an extra kid in the house that night, but it wasn't one that was supposed to be there. That was a ghost. Like I'm sitting there like, and at this point I'm scared, and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm literally just seeing this. Like I'm seeing this, but I'm not telling the kids because I don't want them scared, and I don't want them up all night because I'm trying to get them to go to bed so I can get on the hotline. So I put them all to bed, and I'm just sitting down there, and I can't go to sleep because I know what I just saw, so I'm scared. So I'm just sitting there like, oh my God, I can't wait for my mom to get home so I can tell her about this. So I told her, and she felt stuff too. Like she started feeling weird in that house too. Like there was something in there. At this point, me and her were both experiencing paranormal stuff. Like, oh my God, like one night in particular, she went to sleep because I started sleeping in the front area by the front door. There was a couch up in that area, and I stopped sleeping in that room for a reason. And we might get into that in the story time, and we might not. But the night I'm talking about, my mom went and she ended up sleeping in my room in the front of the house. In this house, my room was in the front of the house downstairs. So she ended up sleeping in my room, and I'm sleep outside on the couch, and my door is wide open. I'm knocked out. But the way she described it to me was she was being held down in the bed, and she heard whispers, and she couldn't talk, she couldn't move or nothing. All she could say is the blood of Jesus, the blood of Jesus, the blood of Jesus. And it finally let up. But it was clearly something evil in the house. It wasn't just a kid, it was something else. Because I know what I felt. Like the kid ghost, I knew he was there, but he didn't bother me. It was something else in that house, something bigger, something more demonic, like something else was in there, and it was crazy. Like it was crazy mean. Like one night I was in the kitchen, and the cabinet slammed open. Like it didn't slam open, but it was closed. Then it just opened itself. And then, like, there was a couple times, like, me and my brother, when we first moved into the house, we used to sleep in my room together because I was the only one with the fan. Remember I told you I could not sleep without a fan? I finally got a fan because I was babysitting and I was able to buy one. Had a fan and we would sleep. I was weird as a kid. I didn't like sleeping on beds. I was more comfortable with the pallet on the floor, and that helped me go to sleep better. I don't know, it's just something about beds and all that cushion. It was very like irritating back then. But I was laying in front of my bed though, so I can see under my bed. So I'm laying like this, and the front of my bed is in front of me, and my brother was asleep further back from me on the floor. So I'm asleep, and then I end up like waking up a little bit, and all I saw was eyes. All I saw was eyes. Like it was a pair of eyes under the bed, just watching me, like just a pair of regular white eyes, like mine, just looking at me from under the bed like this. I'm literally freaking out. My bedroom door is closed. It's dark. Y'all know I don't do dark. Like, who closed my door? Somebody was always turning the lights off or closing my door, man. That was so annoying, man. I couldn't stand that. But I get up immediately and I run out the room. Didn't even wake my brother up. I left him right in there. Left him right in that room. But I ran up out of my room, and I told my mom, and I'm like, yo, something was under my bed. She's like, well, just pray on it and, plead the blood of Jesus and it'll go away. And that did work. But that room was so eerie. Like that front room, something bad happened in that front room. And it was so eerie, and it was so heavy, and it was like